L. Melamed, an 11th grader who can change the way you drink soup forever.
Good evening, sharks. Imagine this. You have just made a nice steaming pot of chicken soup. You inhale the warm, delicious steam and realize that you want to pour yourself a bowl. You take out the ladle, dip it in the bowl, and then you remember. You don't like floating strands of dill in your soup. You don't like soggy chicken in your soup. All you like to eat is clear liquid broth. You struggle with your ladle, dipping it in millimeters at a time in order to avoid a dreaded carrot from sinking into the spoon. By the time you're finished, you've wasted so much time that your soup is cold. But wait, don't worry. My product, the Super Spoon, provides a super solution to this problem. The Super Spoon might look to be, at first glance, a regular ladle. However, it is much more than that. In its resting position, the spoon has a mesh cover over the bottom of the ladle. With the simple press of a lever, the mesh cover is removed and the ladle can be dipped into the pot of soup. You can dip the entire ladle in at once. No need to avoid vegetable chunks or pieces of chicken. Simply remove the ladle from the pot, release the trigger to replace the mesh cover, and pour your soup into the bowl. This device is perfect for picky children who are particular about what they eat, or for any adult who simply does not like solid items in their soup. And I know it's not just me who recognizes this problem. A recent survey of over 40 soup-making adults showed that over 50% of people are frustrated by this issue. The results also show that over 80% of people would buy a Super Spoon. So even people who didn't feel the urgency of this problem still felt enticed to buy the product. I'm going to pass this around for you guys to see. Keep in mind that this is a very early model. This is a used bicycle brake that is here, so the real version won't have that, and also the handle will be on the other side of the ladle to make it more convenient to pour. So that's this for you guys to see. And then also here, I was showing a 3D model of the spoon, and I actually was able to 3D print that small model, so you can look at this too. It's just made out of plastic, but it's just the general idea of what the spoon will look like.
I just want to know how many of you guys have ever made chicken soup before.
It's so hard to can open.
Sorry, what was the smaller one?
What?
Smaller one?
As a 3D printed version of what it will eventually look like. So I'll continue. You may wonder why you would need a Super Spoon when you can use a separate mesh strainer. Here are 4 reasons why my product is the more convenient option. Number 1, it's less messy. Pouring soup into a strainer over individual bowls can create a splashy mess. Number 2, it's safer. Pouring soup through a strainer can lead to burns as the steaming liquid sloshes over the sides of the pot or bowl onto your hands. Number 3, it's faster. Instead of transferring a strainer from bowl to bowl, the strainer is attached to the ladle, hastening the straining process. Further, there's only one utensil to wash afterwards. Number 4, and this is my favorite, it only requires one hand. With one hand, you can fill the ladle, strain the clear broth into a bowl, and reinsert the leftover vegetables into the pot of soup. All with one hand. You still have a hand free to hold the bowl steady, to adjust the flame, and even answer the phone. No mess, no burns, no extra washing, no wasted time. It's simple, clean, and efficient. There will be a few different versions of this product. There will be the household level, sold for $14.95. I came to this price because it will cost me around $4 to manufacture the item, so I will sell the product to retail sellers for $8, and those retail sellers will reprice the item at around $15. This cheaper model will be targeted toward the average home cook, and will be sold in stores like Bed Bath & Beyond. The upscale version of this product will be sold at high-end cooking stores. This ladle will cost around $30 and will be made out of high-quality stainless steel. There is currently a product called the Williams-Sonoma Classic Ladle being sold for $42.95. If customers are willing to pay this much money for a regular old stainless steel ladle, the market will certainly be interested in a Super Spoon that is sold for even less. I would like an investment in order to set up my company. I will work with a company I've already found called devicelab.com in order to create a prototype, and then work with Thingify.com to help me build a mold for the manufacturer, and I will have you At 1,000 units made by a local manufacturer, I will then meet with a buyer's representative from Bed Bath & Beyond and similar companies. Once I get my product into one store, I will be able to conduct a trial and see that the product sells. I will also build a website and sell directly to the public. I'll recruit affiliates who will get commissions for selling my Super Spoon off their websites and mailing list. For example, I'll compile a list of bloggers who blog about cooking and cooking utensils, and I'll incentivize them to review and promote my product. I believe that the Super Spoon will revolutionize the way soup is consumed, and I hope you agree.
Wow. You get a wow. That's a wow. And I mean, I'm in, but I do want to know, first of all, I think you might want to consider making it a little bit bigger because it's a little too small because you have to do a lot of labeling. And I think secondly, you don't want to stereotype it for just chicken soup, just so you don't niche yourself in a niche market. You know, think about the other applications of this training with other kind of soups, just so that it can be a great soup ladle above and beyond, you know, the Jewish chicks wanting them, you know, for their soup. So just be careful with broadening your audience in that regard. But I think it's a fabulous idea. And how far along are you with finishing your product?
So far I have the 2 types of prototypes there. I have figured out parts I can use to make them, but now it's all a question of figuring out how to buy them in the most efficient way possible, how to create them if necessary, and where to actually find a place to manufacture them.
So I'll be your guinea pig. I'll take 100. And I'll also be able to give you research back of what works and what doesn't as you build your prototypes.
So you're an 11th grader?
Yes.
I find that hard to believe. You got a wow from me too. It was an amazing presentation. I think you really did a good job of thinking about a problem, of coming up with a prototype, using 3D printing, using some of the great resources that are available to you at Milken. I'm assuming it was a Milken 3D printer, but I couldn't tell. The way that you pitched it was excellent. You did some market research. You thought about manufacturing costs, distribution channels. You're ready to begin a home shopping network. And I think it really is a good product as well. And so I think you did a good job personally, and I think your product is great.
I'm one of these people that when I get fruit punch, I don't like ice. So this is beyond just soup. You can have other applications besides separating the liquid from whatever else is there, but I really like the product.
I think the execution of your sample is awesome. It's great. I just worry about how many you would sell in a year to figure out what kind of a market you would have on such item.
Well, I sent a survey out to 40 adults, and I found that on average people purchase soup ladles about once every five years. So I can get people, you know, once they decide they need a new soup ladle, they can see this on the market and think, oh, that's really cool. Or even people who already have ladles, this is something that's different. It's different than what they have already. So people who already have existing kitchen utensils that may do this job in a different way will still be enticed to buy this because of the way that this is performed.
I think in a really great way you are presenting a pitch for a problem that I'm not really sure really exists. But I'd love to know about other products, because the way you were selling it to us, and the way you were presenting it, and your entire research that you did, if you apply that to your next product or your next batch of products, I think you will end up finding the home run. I'm not sure that this is the home run.
I agree. You're a really great presenter. You've got great composure, you answer the questions confidently, you've obviously done a ton of research, and you've got a theory, right? You've got a theory that the world doesn't want stuff in their soup, right? And I don't know if you're right, and you don't really know if you're right. And a nice way to approach problems like this is run a test as if you have made it. So create some advertisements and put them in Twitter and put them in Facebook. And I mean, the process you will go through advertising in those platforms is invaluable. You will, tweak the headlines, tweak the graphics, like pretend the thing exists. And when people go to actually buy it, just capture their email address instead, because you don't actually have anything to sell them. But it will be such a wonderful opportunity to figure out, like, wow, I've got a huge market in the elderly because, well, they don't have any teeth or whatever, right? And you'll be able to sort of figure out where it is that your target market is and go from there. But I think your presentation is great. I would just encourage you to test a little bit before you go after what is really maybe a small market.
I have one other point. If you're trying to separate the liquid from the ice or the noodles, and you just want to collect the liquid in there, you don't need to have a pop-up. If you just have it fixed with holes, that will automatically collect the liquid. So you don't necessarily need to have this pop-up. That pop-up is if you want to collect, if you want to strain the whole soup and then collect the noodles in there, and it will let the water out, the soup out.
I was just worried though that if I just had a mesh on top, and the vegetables would all be on top of the spoon, and when you went to pour it into your bowl, the vegetables would just plop off.
Well, where I want to go with that is if you're trying to do that sort of separation, you may have something which will not necessarily need to have this mechanics. You can have it already fixed with the strainer built onto the top, or you can create a separate strainer assembly, which now you can open and close the edge and put it onto anyone who has a Williams-Sonoma ladle already. You can sell them an adapter, which will create a separate strainer for them with their existing, but it would be based off very similar to this concept.
Unfortunately, Shark, that's all presentation. Questions? Well, unfortunately, Ms. Fleschner had to leave us tonight due to a family obligation. However, due to